What's going on? It's your cousin Polly Rob. Welcome to another episode of the Polly Rob podcast. You already know what it is. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit the notifications for all my content. You know what I'm saying? I really appreciate y'all showing love to my content. I appreciate all my members for all my exclusive content. Appreciate that. Now let's get right into it because we can't waste no more time. We already had our holidays going up. You know what I'm saying? I hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. Happy Turkey Day. Eat good. I hope y'all worked out afterwards. I did myself. I had to get my workout on. I kind of, be getting into my walking and, walking a couple of miles, just really getting into my routine. I'm not no super workout guy. I'm trying to get into it because you already know what it is. Health is wealth. You know what I'm saying? So let's get right into it. I seen some interesting news come across my timeline the past couple of days. And I'm not going to lie, it was kind of disturbing. Because this particular show, I really like this show. I think it's dope. I think it's necessary for the culture, and we'll get into that. And as unorthodox as it is, as far as the people are part of the show and how it came together, I think it materialized at the right moment. I think it came together at the right moment, and I heard some disturbing news that it might be over. That's what they saying. It might be over. Now, I've been seeing that all across the timeline. The Bigger Picture show. The Bigger Picture, which is Jeremy Hecht, Elliott Wilson, and DJ Hed. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to all three of them. All three of them in their respective right has brought something great to the culture. Elliott Wilson of being a legendary 30-year plus journalist, you know what I mean, in the game, really showed all of us how to really do this, whether you're somebody that's writing for a beat or writing for, a newspaper or a magazine, or whether you're a podcaster or whether you're someone who interviews people. On all levels, he has brought elite level of storytelling to hip hop media. And that's important to say, because hip hop media, in my opinion, is only as good as the music that we hear. You know what I mean? And for the right reasons, Elliott Wilson has covered some of the greatest artists of our time in his time frame of being a journalist. So shout out to Elliott Wilson. Jeremy Hecht, on the other hand, is a lot more of the new school style of journalism, whether it's doing news updates or it's, doing on the red carpet, or what they would call on the beat journalism, which is like interviewing people in their place of celebration or awards, or, at their listening party, things like that. Like, he's done a lot for the hip hop culture within his span of time. Not to mention, he's also, somebody that is from the Toronto area, but is very thorough with his hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Don't get it twisted. Toronto is a very big hip hop scene. And not only do dope artists come from Toronto, but also great media personalities come from Toronto as well. So shout out to Jeremy Hecht. He's put in his work. And of course, DJ Hed, you know what I'm saying? My Capricorn brother, shout out to DJ Hed. I've watched DJ Hed grow from, being a DJ, actually being a comedian. He got on stage and was doing some stand-up, around the time when he was being a DJ as well. I've gotten the privilege to see that, and he's hilarious. DJ Hed is hilarious, you know what I'm saying? I'll actually tell you about one of those times where I seen him on stand-up, you know what I'm saying? He could attest to it. I think I probably still got the footage, because I was actually filming the event when he did stand-up, so I could probably find the footage, you know what I'm saying, and play it for y'all, with consent, of course. But anyway, great hip-hop personality, a real DJ. Like, and no disrespect to people who put that DJ name in front of their name, you know what I mean, a DJ title in front of their name. No disrespect, but when I say a real DJ, I mean he's really on the ground floor, actually putting in the work, playing records, breaking records, keeping in tune with what's hot, what's not. Just doing all of it. You know what I'm saying? Like he has a radio show with Gina Views. Shout out to Gina Views. Effective immediately on Sirius Radio. Of course he is West Coast biased. Let's get that out the way. He is West Coast biased, but he's not someone that will use his bias to override anybody else's success. Like he's very fair person. He's going to tell you the real. He's going to tell you what he feels. And yes, he's going to throw in that he's from the West Coast. So it's what it is. That's his tagline. You know what I mean? But shout out to DJ Hed. And the bigger picture consists of the three of them. And also shout out to everybody behind the scenes that's putting together the actual show. Because from the level of it being shot, the cinematography, the questions that they ask, the topics that they cover, a little bit across the board, even the little concept of them going live on Instagram and showing that first before they actually show the show. That's very, very unique. I haven't seen that done before. That's very, very unique. But there's ramblings saying that this show is over. Now, there's two sides to this whole situation. There's certain people praising the fact that they think it's over. I'll put the quotations up. Think that it's over. And there's people who are upset. Like, no, we want more episodes. So let's say this. Let's just say this. As of, and this is what they're saying on the last show. As of last Wednesday that just passed, that is considered the last show of the year. Let's just say that. It's considered the last show of the year. So now let's talk about what they explained as how the show started, and let's talk about the reasons why the bigger picture show needs to exist in today's hip hop scene. Okay? Let's talk about that because it's a real thing. I really think that this show has a lot of potential, and I think that it can really, really do some. When I say do damage, I'm gonna say that, but when I say it, I'm saying it in the context of it can do great things. So it can do a lot of damage, it can do a lot of great things in the culture. Damage as in it can break down some barriers. You know what I'm saying? Shed some light on things that people may not want to talk about. That's what I mean when I say do damage. So I think it could do some damage in the industry and break some things down. You know what I mean? So from the last show, and I only watched because I had to do some sessions, some music sessions. I only watched probably like about an hour of it. I think it's probably like an hour and 40 minutes or something like that. But from what I watched, they talked about how it started. And it started from Elliott calling Jeremy Hecht and calling DJ Hed and saying, hey, we want to do an exclusive covering of the Kendrick and Drake beef. So, yes, they have confirmed, because there was a lot of speculation before, but they confirmed that it's due to the Kendrick and Drake beef. They wanted to cover everything about the battle and everything surrounding the battle. So Elliott had the bright idea to say, hey, call Jeremy Hecht because he's worked with Jeremy Hecht before. From what I understand, he's mentored him in certain lights, you know what I'm saying, working with him. And he wanted to bring Jeremy Hecht to say, hey, let's put together this exclusive. Now, they didn't say he thought about it as like a consistent show, but he did say that he wanted to get this thing shot. He had some relationships, which he still has, at UpRoxx. You know what I mean? I think I'm pronouncing that properly, UpRoxx. And he like, yo, we can do this show where we can cover this whole battle and just see where it goes. So he calls up Jeremy and say, hey, let's do it. Jeremy obliges for sure. Let's get it. He calls DJ Head and say, hey, what's up? DJ Head like, okay, cool, I'll do an episode. But they didn't know how great the show would go. They had no clue. They was just like, let's cover it. So after the first episode, they felt like the chemistry was great. Elliott Wilson said, hey, can you come again? Pause. Hold on, pause. Elliott Wilson was like, can you attend the show again for a second taping? And, DJ Head was like, okay, let's do it. So long story short, it started from the Kendrick and Drake beef. We got a lot of insight, from DJ Head because he rocks with Kendrick. No, he did not leak anything, but he did kind of give a little bit of insight, a lot of bit of insight on how Kendrick operates and how he thinks, and when certain songs drop, what the energy was. Just the same way DJ Academics was doing for Drake. The exact same way. No different. And we'll get into that whole dynamic. So, yes, you could say that DJ Head was biased in a certain right, but at the same time, it's like, yo, where else you gonna get that? There was not, before this podcast, there wasn't a lot of podcasts or a lot of shows that was repping or even giving a little insight from the West Coast side or the Kendrick Lamar side. There was none. So to even get a little bit of that information was shocking and much needed for a lot of people who were Kendrick fans. Drake had DJ Academics. Drake had other podcasters that were covering his side and what he may be thinking or how he may approach things, or when his records drop, releasing those or premiering those records on their streams or on their shows. He had that already. Actually, to be honest with you, he's had that for many years. Now, when the beef starts, you get some rumblings from DJ Head about the thought process and, certain little tidbits that gave a little energy to Kendrick Lamar's side and his fans. Fast forward a year and a half later, all the Kendrick fans are fulfilled with music, with accolades, with Kendrick winning the battle. They're fulfilled. Drake fans, not so much. Drake fans kind of upset. But nonetheless, the bigger picture was great coverage for all of it. Not to mention covering other, record releases, covering other news that kind of surrounded the music industry, all the way down to the Clips album and, things that happened, to, P. Diddy, or things that happened in courtrooms in hip hop. Like, it was a lot. Like, they did about 70 plus episodes. So just in that short span of time, they did 70 plus episodes. They did a lot of work. Not saying that they did everything that they could do. No, it's still more to do. But they covered the beef and the Kendrick and Drake situation from a little more of a different perspective that made other people that was in the beef look at it from another side. I think that was the best part about the bigger picture. Is I'm hearing a lot of people on social media right now saying, the bigger picture was just a bias for Kendrick. Well, you could say DJ Academics was a bias for Drake. Okay, we even. Y'all happy? Because I could probably name 4 or 5 other podcasts or platforms that was biased to Drake even before the beef started. So now that the West Coast gets one kind of biased situation, and now everybody pissed, everybody mad, and this is what I be saying. Not even me. This is what a lot of people who represent the West Coast, because me, clearly, I represent both coasts. I've lived in both coasts. I've, studied music from both coasts. I've lived, music in both coasts, you know what I mean, for a healthy part of my life. I consider myself half and half. And one thing I can tell you from living in Brooklyn, New York, living in Inglewood, California, one thing I can tell you is that everyone is biased to all other places but the West Coast. The reason why the West Coast has such a vibrato about, yeah, this is the West, is because nobody else be showing love. Nobody else be showing love. From the radio station, to supporting the music, to supporting the things that we do. A lot of y'all don't be supporting. I just got to be honest. I have to be honest. A lot of y'all don't support. So yes, when your back is against the wall, you got to have extra vibrato. So let's take over 10 platforms or shows that are Drake biased against one biased show that's Kendrick biased. Y'all mad? Y'all mad? Because the West Coast got one? Y'all mad? Come on, man. This is the reason why the bigger picture is necessary. Not to be Kendrick biased, but to offer another perspective of how hip-hop is seen in another part of the world. It's real. There are people who feel like DJ Hed. There are people who feel like Jeremy Hecht as well. Jeremy Hecht is as much as he's a Drake fan, he's a super Drake fan. One thing that I learned from the bigger picture is during the time of Jeremy filming the bigger picture with Elliott and DJ Hed, he has grown to respect and in some ways love the approach, the hard work, the dedication, and the curation of West Coast artists. Not just Kendrick, other West Coast artists too. In my opinion, I think he's listening to more West Coast music now that he's a part of that show. And not to say that he's being persuaded to, not saying that he's being persuaded to, but I'm saying when you get to have a conversation about a situation that's happening in current time, along with someone who is legendary that has seen some of the classic beefs from his perspective, the Jay-Z, Nas, I'm talking about Elliott Wilson. To be around somebody and to have a conversation with somebody who's seen so many rap beefs happen, some went well, some went terribly bad, mixed with someone who's in the club constantly for like the past 10, 15 years that can speak to the music from a fan standpoint, a DJ standpoint, and a label executive standpoint, which they both can, DJ Hed and Elliott Wilson, and have a conversation with him, with DJ Hed, about being biased and also being fair to what's going on in the culture. And then Jeremy Hecht, being from Toronto, having a different perspective of looking at hip-hop from Canada and then looking at USA hip-hop and how they mesh together, having a newfound appreciation to West Coast music, and then all around understanding how to bridge all of those two together, because at the end of the day, it's all good music. It's all just dope, good music. And as long as nobody's not hurting nobody, it's a good thing. Now, I hear a lot of other podcasts. I hear a lot of slander. I hear a lot of slander on Drake's side, Kendrick's side. It don't matter what side, but I hear a lot of slander. In my opinion, the bigger picture, I don't feel like they slander nobody. I feel like they give a fair assessment They gave a fair assessment of the battle. When they talk about topics, they give a fair assessment as to what's happening and what's going on, right? And there's almost never a situation where everybody's just on one side. Like, I don't believe that everybody was just on Kendrick's side when the battle started. I think Jeremy was on Drake's side. I think Elliott was on Kendrick's side only because, let's be clear about this. Elliott was on Drake's side only because he didn't get the interview that he wanted. I believe he was on Kendrick's side only because he didn't get the interview he wanted from Drake. But he still, in the beginning, he still loved, or at least he still listened to Drake's music more than he listened to Kendrick's music in the beginning. He listened to more of Drake than he did K-Dot in the beginning. Now, I don't know. Because they called him West Coast Wilson, so it might be half and half. Who knows? At the end of the day, this show is necessary because there's no more, what's that show with, what's the show on Complex with Joe Budden and DJ Academics? Everyday Struggle. There's no more Everyday Struggle. So we need an Everyday Struggle. Everyday Struggle was like the first take of hip-hop. But that's no more. DJ Academics got his own platform. Joe Budden Podcast got his own thing going. It's happening like that. Mandy doing her own thing. It's just different, right? So, who's next up? The bigger picture. The bigger picture is next up to be the next first take of hip-hop. Just saying. Now, in my opinion, I believe that they're just taking a break. It's the end of the year. Like, everybody's pretty much shutting down. And you got to remember, y'all may think about it as a podcast because the dialogue and the conversation is built like a podcast, but the way that they set it up, it is a show. It is an actual show, just like Everyday Struggle. That's a show. It may have a podcast format, a debate format, but it is a show, which means that it costs money to put it together. It costs money to actually do it. It costs money. Which means that they got to find the time to do it amongst their busy schedule. They gotta actually do it. They gotta edit it. It's a lot going on. So they may just be taking some time out. I think that they're gonna come back pretty soon, couple of months, who knows. And even in the show they mentioned, they said specifically, this will be the last time you see the three of us in this format. That doesn't mean this is the last time you'll see the three of us. Okay? Now, also, keep in mind, they may just add somebody to the show. I seen that they added a couple of guests. They brought De La Soul on. They brought, a couple of other people on, Wale. They brought people on the show. But I'm saying I think they might add another co-host onto the show. Who do I think should be on there? Oh, I'm glad you asked. Who do I think they should have on the bigger picture? Y'all may hate this, but I'm going to say it anyway. Gina Views. Why not have Gina Views on the bigger picture? I mean, I know she already does a show with DJ Head, but so what? Bring her on the show. She's live. She got energy. I think that's fire. Also, who else do I think should be on the bigger picture? I think if you find a rapper that's, for the most part, unbiased, you can put a rapper on the bigger picture. I would prefer a female rapper be on the bigger picture. Somebody who's accredited. Somebody who, I mean, to be honest, I wouldn't mind. I don't know. Let's just say I wouldn't mind a female rapper being on the bigger picture to offer a different perspective. I think that'd be fire. Lastly, I'll say this before I get out of here. And I want y'all to let me know in the comments, do y'all think the bigger picture should stay or should it go and should they revamp to something else? But let me know what y'all think. But this is the last thing I'll say. This will probably, let me say this. This is the beginning, like this show is the beginning of proper representation publicly for the West Coast. I'm sorry. Let me put my West Coast hat on right now. I gotta say it. I'm sorry. This is the beginning of proper public representation of West Coast music. I'm not saying that this show is going to be all West Coast. I'm not saying that there's going to be other shows that follow it that's just all West Coast. But what I am saying is, let's start leveling the playing field. The South got their shows like Beehive, I forgot the other dude that did the interview with Young Thug. I forgot his podcast, but he got his podcast, T.I.'s podcast. There's a lot of podcasts out there that be repping for the South. Then you got, on the East Coast, you got Jada and Joe. You got the Joe Budden podcast. You got DJ Academics. You got a lot of different people that got shows that's representing the East Coast. We need more West Coast podcasts to talk about the culture. Shout out to Bootleg Kev. You there too, but you cover a little bit of everything, Bootleg Kev. Shout out to you too. But there's going to be a lot more media podcast shows that's not going to have bias towards other coasts and not the West Coast. It's going to be a lot more people understanding that you need to support the West as well. It's a real deal thing. You can't leave that out. It's real. You know what I mean? Let me know what y'all think about the bigger picture, the show. You know what I'm saying? Let me know if y'all think that they should come back or they should stay, quote unquote, gone, whatever y'all want to say. And let me know in the comments. Let's talk about it. Listen, I want y'all to talk about this. And if you have not seen the bigger picture, you know what I'm saying, show, go look it up. Go watch it. It's a great show. It's needed. It's a lot of quotes, a lot of good information, and it's a lot of energy there. You know what I'm saying? Not just West Coast energy. It's a lot of other stuff too. You know what I mean? But you know how it is. They support good hip hop music. They support West Coast music too. You know what I mean? So let me know what y'all think in the comments, and we're gonna keep this thing rolling. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know what it is. WORKLOAD.